This series of videos demonstrates how to use the new render setup system to create 3 render layers, which can later be composited to create your final image. In the first layer, the set is rendered without the character, while the third layer does the reverse. The set is matted out of the character. The second layer is matte painting that can be composited with the other 2 renders. It is rendered separately since it does not require lighting. The new render setup system replaces the legacy render layer system and is render agnostic and can be used with third-party renderers. To open the render setup editor, you can select the rendering standard workspace or the rendering expert workspace. Workspaces may appear different depending on the resolution of your monitor. You can also use the My Classic workspace and click this icon. Dock the render setup editor and property editor as you like to create the layout best suited to your workflow. First, create the layer Set All. Then create the collection Set Props. Add objects to this collection by selecting them in the outliner and clicking Add. All items in the set are now added to the collection. To check what has been added to your collection, click View All to see a list of collection members. Click the visibility icon to switch to the layer. The set and prop nodes have been added to the layer and are reflected in the viewport. Create a collection called Effects Water. Populate this collection dynamically using an expression. In this case, all effects objects named water that belong in the effects namespace are included. Here's a tip. When setting up your scene, you may want to reference similar objects into the same namespace so that you can populate collections easily with expressions using the namespace. For example, reference all set objects into the set namespace, and you can use the expression set:* to include them all in one collection. To check what has been added to your collection, you can also click Select All, and the collection members are selected in the outliner. Disable this collection when doing test renders to render your layer without effects. Create a collection called Effects Cloth. Create a collection called Character All. In this frame, the character is penetrating the ground. To fix the animation, create a Translate override. Create a relative override to elevate him in the Y direction relative to his current position. Drag and drop the Translate attribute from the attribute editor to the property editor to create the override. Select the override and adjust the offset value in the Y direction. Overrides can be enabled and disabled, allowing for easy experimentation. Disable the character's visibility to render the layer without the character, while including him in the light calculations. Light rays still bounce from the character to the set. This way, he's interacting with the scene, but not rendered in the scene. Make sure your layer is set as visible, then select a collection. Then right-click on the primary visibility attribute in the attribute editor to create an absolute override. Because primary visibility is an attribute on the shape node, a character all shapes collection is automatically created for you, as well as a corresponding override. This collection contains the shape nodes for the CHR all collection. Select the override and disable the attribute. Create a collection to modify the texture applied to the walls in the scene. First, create a collection, Wall Dirt Correction. Select the geometry in the viewport and click Add. To modify the placement of the texture, add also the Place 3D texture nodes to your collection. To translate the Place 3D texture, select Relative to create a relative override, then middle mouse drag and drop the Translate attribute to the property editor. Adjust the values on the Translate override to see the wall texture placement translate. You can also override the specular weight of your shaders using the same drag and drop method. A wall dirt correction shaders collection is created that contains the shaders applied to the wall geometry. Select the override to adjust its value. To override the bump depth of the shaders, middle mouse drag and drop the bump depth attribute to the property editor. A collection containing the bump nodes connected to the wall shaders is created, along with the respective override. This user-friendly interface allows you to easily see the overrides that are applied to each collection. Use Isolate Selective Focus on a subset of your collections in the viewport. Create a collection GeoLights for your geometry lights. A quick test render shows that only the set is rendered, but not the character. When referencing new assets versions, using an expression to populate a collection allows the expression to be reapplied to dynamically adapt to changes in the scene. Here the new towel is added to the layer as it is encompassed by the expression effects:**cloth that was used to populate the effects cloth collection. Create a layer matte painting to render the matte painting behind the window.